it's Scott. Welcome to Film Tingles. So this is part 2 of a video I started recording on the same day, which is why I'm in the same clothes, and why it's just a little bit darker than the last video, because, it's still snowing. I didn't want to make one video too long, so I thought I would split it into 2. The last time we talked about Unsane, I Got Life, and Isle of Dogs. This time it's going to be Ready Player One, A Wrinkle in Time, and A Quiet Place. Before that, as I always say, I want to know how you're doing. I hope you're doing well. I'm doing the same as last time, but just half an hour hungrier than before. So I still want to go play in the snow. I still want to, see some green in Glasgow again. I'm not sure that's ever going to happen at this point. Let me know how you're doing. Let me know what you've seen. Yeah, so Ready Player One. I was not familiar with the source material. I wasn't necessarily excited or not excited. I just knew the film was coming, and I thought I would just go see it for myself, and we'll see. Gamer culture is a big thing, and there's a lot of issues with it, and I didn't know if it was going to have those issues or not. So, I've seen the film twice now, and that doesn't mean it's an endorsement. The reason I saw it twice was because the first time I saw it, I thought that was fun, but not necessarily very good. I thought it was like a 5-star theme park ride, but a 2-star film. So to check that, I went back again for my first ever 4DX screening. So instead of sitting in my chair experiencing the film as one experiences a film, I was being shaken around in my chair. I had wind blowing at me, water squirted at me, and there was strobe lighting and things. Even the back of the chair, like something punches through. When someone gets attacked or someone hurts themselves, something just comes through the back of the chair and sort of hits you to be so that you also feel the bit of the pain. There's a lot of wind around your feet and wind in your face, and there's smells. And, at this point the question is it still cinema? To me, that's something you experience at a theme park, a simulator of some sort. I don't know whether it actually helped the film or not, because in some ways it totally detracts from the film. You almost don't notice the film anymore because you're too busy being shaken around in your chair. So, the film itself, you follow a young boy who goes into the Oasis, this massive online kind of role-playing game where you can do whatever you want, be whoever you want. Kind of like if The Sims got completely out of control and virtual reality. And the person who made that game has died and left behind an Easter egg, which if that person gets, they then control the Oasis. They have the rights to it, and they can do with it whatever they want. So there are gamers who try to get it, and there are companies set up trying to get it, because if they manage to take control, their stocks will shoot through the roof, and they will be able to control the largest thing in existence at this point, pretty much. Everyone plays Oasis. No one really lives real life anymore. So that's the main thing. That's 2.5 hours of this race to the egg. And that's kind of it. I think you start to notice the faults in the film when, or any film, to be honest, when afterwards, if someone says, "What did you think?" and the only thing they can think to say is, "The references were really cool." The references are cool. There's a lot of references in the film to other films, to video games, to just pop culture of 70s, 80s, 90s. That's fun, but it doesn't really mean anything. It doesn't actually mean anything other than the person who made this is aware that that thing exists and has brought it into this film. It means that Steven Spielberg has spent a long time in the last few years going around getting a lot of licensing rights to bring it into his film. But it doesn't mean that they add anything to it. And as an example, they use the holy hand grenade, which I think most people will know from Monty Python, few people might know it from the Worms games, but the joke about the holy hand grenade is that you have to count to 3, and the 5 is way out. But when they use the holy hand grenade in the film, they don't have to do anything to it, they just throw it and it explodes, which is fair enough. But what it shows is that just because you've name-checked something doesn't mean you've used it for any purpose. It doesn't mean you actually have any real love towards that thing. And I'm not saying that from a place of purity towards that object. There's some discussion about whether the Iron Giant, who is a pacifist, should be getting involved in a fight. I don't really have an opinion either way, but I do think if you're going to use something, you should probably show that you know what that something is. Otherwise, it's just lip service. And I think that's part of the problem with a film in general, is that it thinks it's clever just because it knows a thing exists. It's kind of like when you ask, your friend, do you like this band? And they say, oh yeah, I love them, I've got all their albums. And then you're like, do you like any of their songs or whatever? And they can't tell you anything. It's okay that they don't like something. It's just a bit strange when they're trying to prove how cool they are because of something that they don't really have an opinion on. So for this film, this work of entertainment, because it is entertainment, just references things so that the viewer sits there thinking, oh, I get that, I get that, I get that, I get that, I get that. Aren't I clever for getting that? But not really, because it doesn't add to the film. The film itself isn't really about much. It's a fun film, but it's not necessarily a good film. You don't take much from it other than the fact that it's chock full of pop culture references, which don't add anything. Whether or not you choose to go along and get thrown around in your chair as well, that's up to you. And the thing is, if someone leaves a film and doesn't want to discuss it, all they want to do is experience something big and loud and a visual spectacle, there's probably a lot in Ready Player One that they will really enjoy. Lots and lots. Because Spielberg knows how to do that stuff. But if you want to think about it, if you want to wonder what's going on below the surface, I think the answer is not much at all. It's that idea of if less is more, then this film is actually nothing at all because you couldn't get more into it. It's just so much, and it comes at the expense of story, of character development. It comes at the expense of a heart. And I don't take a strong position on this because I think plenty of people will enjoy it. I think people are seeing it and thinking, wow, this is like a geek fantasy come to life, and I get that. I think if I saw this, 15 years ago, I might have been like, wow, this is the best thing ever. But now that I'm looking at it from someone who wants a little bit more out of a film, I want to take an idea from a film. I just don't know what idea I got from it. I'm not sure it's actually saying much. I don't like to be too negative, I don't like to be too critical. And when I think a film isn't doing that much, I start to not mind other flaws because I think it's not above that flaw, because I don't think it's trying to be. The view of masculinity towards, the main sort of romantic relationship is just, it's juvenile, it's adolescent, it's pre-adolescent, it's really, really, I would say, harmful. I don't think it's outwardly harmful, but it's just kind of like all the references, it's very outdated, and I feel like we're past this. I feel like it's something so simple now to know that we're above this and we're better than this, and the way that the main male character talks to the main female character is just it's a bit poor. I think we could do better. And I think it becomes harmful, it becomes a problem when you realise this is a film for gamers, and after, I don't even want to say it much because, putting something on the internet like this, I think the gaming culture has an issue with women, and it doesn't need to be fueled by ignorance. I think there is malevolence in the community. I don't think it's in this film, but I think there is ignorance in this film, or a lack of trying. And I think that's pretty much across the board. It has a huge budget. It has amazing visuals. It really is immersive, sonically, visually, but there's no real heart to it. So yeah, I had fun, but I don't think it's good. I think it's in the wrong medium. I think it belongs in a theme park, or it belongs in a VR video game, much more than it belongs in a cinema. That's not out of cinematic purity or anything silly or obnoxious or pretentious. It's just it could have done more somewhere else. It could have fulfilled its purpose in a different medium, but in this medium, it doesn't hold up. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. If you've seen it, let me know. Like I say, I do enjoy it, so I'm not gonna, if anyone says they enjoy it, I'm really glad. I'm really happy people that were taking things from this film. I've got a lot of friends who really love it, and that's good. I don't think it's a harmful film in any way, in an actively harmful way. I think it just seems like it could have been so much more. So let me know what you think. So I only saw A Wrinkle in Time and A Quiet Place today, so I'm still forming some thoughts over them. So let's just see where we go. A Wrinkle in Time I was really looking forward to. I thought the trailer looked, visually stunning and visually different. I hadn't really seen anything like that recently in a sort of mainstream film where I thought this looks like it has its own style to it. I like that. I really like that in a film. But I couldn't tell you what it was about from the trailer. And having seen the film, I still don't know if I could tell you what it was about. And I think that's what I'm going to take from it, actually, is that it has heart to it. I think Ava DuVernay is obviously a masterful filmmaker. I think she's done some incredible work. And I think she puts a lot of heart into the story. But almost like the opposite of Ready Player One, where the plot is everything and the heart is not existent. The heart is here, but I'm really not sure what the story was. I'm not sure what it was going for. I thought the protagonist character, the main character, Meg, was incredible. I thought she was far and away the best part of the film. There are some lines she says that I think really hit me. I thought were really powerful. When she asks her male companion, do you trust me? I think it's really cool seeing that dynamic flipped, where she's the one saying to him, do you trust me? Come with me. I will keep you safe. I will protect you. That's awesome. And there's a part where she says, you love me because I deserve to be loved. And this is it's a family kids film, so hearing a main character say that in defiance, I think it's pretty cool. So in the same way with all these sort of Disney films, the best parts are always the most human, the most relatable, the most universal, the ones that everyone can look at like, yeah, that's empowering. And I hope that future generations watch that, hear that, and feel that. So the heart's there, the ideas are there, but I'm just not sure it comes together in some sort of coherent final piece of work. I did enjoy it for what it was, but I didn't get out of it what I hoped I would. But looking back, I'm not sure what I hoped I would get. Did I expect some sort of huge sci-fi film that was, bending dimensions and time travel and stuff? Which now, having seen it, seems like a really silly thing to look forward to because it's not that film. So it might be the case of revisiting it and liking it more the second time now knowing what the film is. I may have gone into it expecting something different, I think, coming off the back of Annihilation, another sci-fi masterpiece, which it isn't. But it has heart, and it has very good intentions. Every now and then some religious symbolism seeps through, which I'm not crazy on. But I think you can sort of change it into, just positivity in general, living your best life. And I'm happy with that message. I think the kind of world that we live in now, any sort of film that says, do your best to be the best you can to yourself and to those around you, I'm pretty okay with a film that makes me feel like that's what it's saying. And I do think this film's saying that. So, like the opposite of Ready Player One, this has all the components. It has everything I want in a film. They just don't quite come together in a way that I thought would make a good, strong coherent whole. I wouldn't say I'm disappointed because I still got stuff from it. I still took things from the film, but I was sort of hoping for something just a little bit more complete almost. But I think there's a lot of things in there to be proud of, and I hope that those involved with it are proud of the fact that it looks magnificent, that there's some really good performances, especially the main character. His first name in real life is Storm. That's incredible. I love the name Storm. I think it has a lot going for it. It just didn't work as much as I hoped. So from one extreme to the other, A Quiet Place. There's a special preview, I think, because it's not showing tomorrow or Wednesday, so I assume that it's out later on in the week. I'm recording this on a Monday. It's John Krasinski's, I believe, debut, and it is a horror film, and, you know, they live in a post-apocalyptic kind of world where monsters have ravaged the land, and people have begun to understand that the thing that attracts them is sound. So if you stay quiet, you'll be okay. And John Krasinski and his family, Emily Blunt, plays his wife in the film, and his real life partner. They have been walking and traversing and living off the land for days and days and days. It shows you the day count. It starts off with a little prologue and then jumps to a little bit in the future. And it shows how they've adapted life to what their new situation is. The first half hour or so, I thought was, stylistically cool. I thought this is a neat premise, but there wasn't a lot that happened, so I was a little bit worried that I was going to come away from it appreciating it more than I enjoyed it. I kind of felt that way towards It Comes at Night. I ended up thinking, I appreciate that I think it was clever, but I'm not sure I took much from it emotionally. And it has some things in common with that film, but when I think now of having seen the whole thing, I think of films like 10 Cloverfield Lane, or I think of films even like Signs, big, sparse, empty shots of fields, but with something sinister lurking nearby, and with certain established rules. In fact, I was going to explain something, but I won't, because I know that not everyone's seen it yet, and I think it's good to go into this completely unspoiled. What I would say is it's successful on all fronts. I loved it. I thought it was great. It's incredibly tense, which is what I want from these kind of films. The last 40 minutes in particular, I think I was just anxious the whole time, and it made me realise that from that first half hour to this final act, I'd really begun to care about what was happening, so stick with it. It is jumpy. It got me a few times with jump scares, and I tend to notice them coming. Of course, the trick is when the music goes quiet in a film, a jump scare's coming. But if it's always quiet, you can't use the same rule, so it's quite deceptively clever in that way. What I will say is it's best if you get a cinema audience who are also quiet. There was a lot of rustling, a lot of moving around, which you notice a lot when you've got a packed cinema and a very quiet film. There's this constant hum of movement and activity and life in the background. I would never tell someone to wait to go see a film, but it might make sense to see it 2 weeks down the line during the day when there's no one around. Because when you have the quietness to yourself, I think the film really will elevate itself even more. Like the performances were all really strong, I think. There's some sign language. There's a lot to be said through the body movements and actions because they can't really talk much. There's not a lot of dialogue. Just a lot of being aware of your surroundings, of communicating through actions, of running and looking scared. It's quite a compact film. I don't think a lot happens from A to B, but enough happens in the time you spend with this little family to think, I'm invested and I care. And all the best horror films have you caring, which is why there was a large run of horror films that did not work because because actually the characters were so annoying where you kind of hope horrible things happen to them. This is the complete opposite. You really believe in this family and hope that it can do well. And I think if people like films like The Witch, which I adore, there are things stylistically that look like that, but it is a scarier film. It's not psychological horror as much as it is actual horror. And there are some ideas in there. Again, I only saw these films today, so I'm still working out what I think of them. But I think where the film goes hints at a few things. So I think it does have that going on as well. When it premiered at South by Southwest, there was a few people saying, this is an all-time great. I'm not sure if it will stand up to that hype, but it's a very, very good horror film. And we've had a few years now with this one or two horror films that are really outstandingly good, and I think at the end of the year, this might be one we're looking back at thinking, that was a good film. So if you like horror, if you're interested in seeing something with a cool concept, with a pretty neat creature design, good acting, I love seeing Jim from The Office do anything. If you like something that's tense and atmospheric, because there's a big emphasis on the sound design, a leaf, a footstep, they all sound massive when the idea is to not make any sound at all. But it's not an ASMR film because you're a little bit too tense for that. Yeah, I think people will like it. I think it will really play well to audiences, and I think that even though it's a little bit different, it's not too different that people can't go with it. So yeah, this is the end of part 2 of this two-parter. Again, let me know if you've seen these films. I think it's been a good week between this one and the last video. I've really enjoyed most of the films I've seen and think that most of them have something to them. And even something like Ready Player One, which I think doesn't work as well as it could have done. I think there's enough to talk about why it doesn't work. I think the sort of Super Smash Brothers element to it is its flaw, but for others, it's the sheer delight of it all. So there's something to that, just because I think one thing doesn't mean that someone else won't think something else. And both of those are valid. I love hearing different opinions. I love hearing, complete opposite opinions from mine, because that's part of what makes the whole cinema thing fun. What you take from it is not what I take from it, and that's amazing. So until next time, enjoy the cinema, enjoy what you see, love what you see, love what we do and talk about. See you very soon.